Well, hello everyone. I am Matt Williamson at Williamson NFL. How's everyone doing this fine day? Couple things I want to discuss. I've done a bunch of homework in the last 24 hours on the center needy teams in the league. You know, what teams out there could be competing with the Steelers to add center help? And that's a hard thing to do because maybe somebody would just grab a Jackson Powers Johnson and play him at guard and just say we need interior O-line help. But more so than most positions, you can really narrow down what teams would consider using a high draft pick on a center. I've talked to you because it sure looks like the Steelers center is coming via draft, not free agency, because they have dried up quickly. And there's three of them that we all really like. I mean, I also think there's some late round picks, but that's not the answer necessarily. I mean, I think that Barton, Powers Johnson, and Frazier from West Virginia, one of them, you'd really be happy if you landed here in Pittsburgh. So as of yesterday, I identified 4 other teams that could be in the center market early, and then 3 that I thought were maybes, you know, that might be a bit of a stretch. Now, that's changed slightly because one of them was Arizona. And they signed Evan Brown on Tuesday, late in the day Tuesday. He's not great, but he's an NFL center, and they have so many other needs. I just don't know that Arizona's grabbing a center. I'm sure they're going to end up with Marvin Harrison Jr. and then edge rushers and other things all over the defense. And by signing a solid veteran, an okay guy in Evan Brown, I don't think Arizona is going to be in the first 2 round market for center. I also think that's probably true for the Panthers. They have an okay one now, but it's obvious that they have put a lot of resources into the interior of their offensive line because they have the short quarterback. They want to make life easier on him. But they only have 1 pick ahead of the Steelers, and it's a first pick in the second round. I'd be kind of shocked if that's a center, especially after all the defections they've had on defense. They could certainly use more wide receivers. Denver's another one. Lloyd Cushenberry left Denver, but I look at them and think, is center going to be that high on their priority list? They need a quarterback. They need Quinn Meinerz also could bump into center. That might be their move there. And their defense needs everything now. So some of these really rebuilding teams usually don't rebuild around a high center choice. Now, Dallas, on the other hand, lost Biotish, the Wisconsin kid, and don't have an obvious replacement there. The Cowboys have shown a penchant during the Jerry Jones era that they will invest in offensive linemen heavily early in the draft. So I could absolutely see that being a Jackson Powers Johnson landing spot if the Steelers, but they do pick it behind the Steelers. So Dallas would scare me for sure. And then I have some maybes. I think Houston's a maybe, but they used a second round pick on Juice Scruggs out of Penn State last year. He might be a guard, he might be a center, but they don't pick. They only have 1 pick ahead of the Steelers now too after their trades. San Francisco's another one. I could see them taking Graham Barton at the end of the first round and just putting him somewhere on their interior offensive line. And the same is true for Tampa Bay. Maybe they grab a Barton or a Powers Johnson to playoff teams near the end of the first round, but not their biggest needs, but could live with the guys they have, but maybe that's a move that they want to make. So those are the teams to keep an eye on in the center race, but none of them need it probably as bad as the Steelers. And the ones that do have much bigger needs elsewhere. BetOnline continues to be your number 1 source for all your basketball wagering needs, including pro and college hoops throughout the season. With up-to-minute odds, stats, and trends, you can follow your favorite team's path to the playoffs with in-game live betting, contests, and all the best player props. Experience the world's best wagering platform anytime from your desktop on your mobile device. Head to BetOnline today to become part of the team, and remember to use promo code BELIEVE, BLEAV, for a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, the game starts here. So some other things to chat about are Mike Williams, who I was pretty excited about, to be honest with you. Never ends up landing in Pittsburgh. He never got out of New York. He is a New York Jet already. So it's a good move for them. They really needed someone opposite Garrett Wilson. And there's dudes like Josh Reynolds and Renfro and Boyd and Gallup that are okay, but I didn't look at any of them as a quality top 2 receiver. Williams was the last of that group. Now, I think that there are some trade rumors, possibilities. I've mentioned Stephon Diggs. There's more and more chatter, whether it's truth or not, about Brandon Ayuk. But I'm not giving up my first round pick for any of these guys, considering the wealth of this draft. And I don't know what San Fran would need for Ayuk. One report I heard was they turned down Jacksonville's first round pick and a player. That's too rich for my blood, considering then you got to pay him on top of that. And big money. Awesome player, though. I heard other, rumblings that the Steelers might be able to get him for 2 mid-round picks. Like, those are a cavernous difference between the two sides. Probably one came from the Niners and one came from the Steelers. So I don't know what to believe on that, but I do think they're at least having that conversation. He is a tremendous football player, though. Love him. I think he's honestly a top 10 receiver. So that's a name just to keep an eye on. Another thing that happened today that might not seem like a huge deal. Well, it is kind of a huge deal. Trent Brown, who is huge, now pairs with Orlando Brown, who is huge. They're well over 700 pounds of offensive tackle now for the Cincinnati Bengals. And the reason I mention that is the whole world had a right tackle penciled in Cincinnati. So I think that offers up one more spot where a tackle could slip to you just a little bit further, which I'm all in favor of in a really tackle-heavy draft. Now, does Cincinnati then pivot and go maybe corner or defensive tackle there? Both would make some sense. DJ Reader is gone. They picked 2 spots ahead of the Steelers. They're at 18. Or, I know that this won't happen, but do they plan on trading T. Higgins and then maybe they take a Brian Thomas or an A.D. Mitchell or somebody like that at 18? That'd be another big receiver domino. Again, I don't think the Steelers are trading for T. Higgins. I wish they were in a different division because I would love to trade for T. Higgins, but that seems unlikely, although those things happen a little bit more here and there. Last thing I just found funny is 2 new Steelers, Arthur Smith and Justin Fields, really had really rough quarterbacks in Atlanta and really rough supporting casts in Chicago. And as soon as they both leave, all of a sudden it's like, we're going to go sign Kirk Cousins and Mooney and all these, Rondale Moore in Atlanta. And Fields is probably looking around like, I would have liked to throw to Keenan Allen and had, DJ Moore. I know he did last year, but the supporting cast that it looks like Caleb Williams is falling into. Hey, out of your control. That's just the way the world works. But I'm sure these 2 are looking at their former teams like, why didn't you do that for me? I just found that funny. But there you have it. Take care. Over and out. We will talk tomorrow.